Okay, so we've talked about everything on page 3. We've kind of talked about page 4 as well in terms of views and phases, and that each view has a phase and that each object has a phase, and how to work with an existing building. Now, I'm going to close everything down here because we'll have an exercise we'll be working with phasing in a few minutes. I want to go back and talk about the graded region tool that we talked about last week with regards to topography. So, in our session 2 folder, we should have the site model file. Go ahead and open that up. And one of the things that we talked about last week was that the purpose of the split surface command is to separate our topography between the on-site component and the off-site component. So once the split surface command has been used, we can use the graded region tool and go through the steps on page 5 to, number 1, put the on-site topography back into the existing phase, and then proceed with the other modifications such as the graded region tool will do. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a preview of what you're going to be doing next week in your exam. So you folks, if you just go through this step that we're going to go through here, this is the site model file. It's got some topography in it, so if you go into 3D, delete any topographic objects that you see inside it. So this is the site model. You'll find it inside the session 2 folder. Just open it up and we'll go into it and delete the topography that's there. We're going to create a new one. We're going to go through the whole step of what will be on your exam next week. So once I've deleted those topographic objects, you folks can clearly see the topographic information. That's at different Z coordinates. So when you get a survey from a surveyor, all of the lot boundaries, road lines, building outlines, those will all be at Z equals 0, typically. And then the topographic information is all that will have Z coordinates. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into the floor plan called sea level. And there's another topographic object here too that I'm going to delete. So in 3D, if you see any topographic objects, delete them. Keep the AutoCAD file, we don't want to delete that. But delete any topography that you see, and then go back to the sea level view, and there might be a topographic object right on the middle of our site here where we're going to add a graded region. We're going to work on that together. Okay, so we're going to start from scratch here. First of all, making the Toposurface. So go to the sea level floor plan, and now we're going to go to the Massing and Site tab, and we're going to choose the Toposurface tool. Now, generally speaking, when you get a topography provided to you by the surveyor, you should be able just to use the AutoCAD drawing provided. So from the Create from Import menu, choose Select Import Instance, and that will allow you to pick the CAD file. You get the blue bounding box around it. So now you have to choose which layers have the topographic information. Remember I told you last week that even before you use a Toposurface command, it might be a good idea to use the Query tool. So once you've selected the AutoCAD drawing, you don't have to do this right now, but when you have got that AutoCAD object selected, hit the Query command, and then you'll be able to click on different objects and it'll tell you what layer they are on. So here I can see that my contour lines are on the C Topo major layer. So now, when I go to Massing and Site, and I choose the Toposurface tool, and from the Create from Import menu, use Select Import Instance. When I put my cursor on my topography here, I only want the one layer, the C Topo layer. And that's it. So now we've got our topography for the entire site, but also off-site. So the next step is to finish, and what we need to do is split this surface so that we have our on-site topography separate from the off-site, so that we can do grading work and it's not going to modify any topography that's off our property. So here's the split surface command. So on the Massing and Site tab, find a split surface command, and then Revit wants you to just put your cursor on the topography and click it. And now there is our topo surface right in the middle, or property rather. And the gray lines are the property lines for this site. Now you could draw them, but that would be a waste. Use the pick command. Put your cursor on one of the property line edges and hit the tab key repeatedly until all of them around the perimeter highlight. So there's one tab. Oh, that did it. There's one tab. So they're all highlighted. So if I click, there we go. So now when we finish, this is going to create two topo surfaces. The one on the outside, which is off-site, and then the one for our property here in the middle. That is our site. So let's go to page 5. Oh, I've done this in the wrong order. Doesn't matter though. Use the split surface tool at the property line to make the project site separate from the rest of the topo surface. Now I'm going to go back to step 1. Change the phase of the topo surface to existing. So I'm going to pick our on-site topography and switch its phase created to existing. There it is. Now it looks like nothing's changed, but if you look carefully you can see the contour lines are gray for the on-site topography, and the off-site they stay black. And if we look at it in 3D, there it is. So our on-site topography, now it's in the existing phase. It's given this look. Why? Because of the phase filter. The phase filter is show complete. What does show complete mean? So there's the show complete phase filter. New objects are shown by category. Existing, sorry, it's show all. No, it's show complete. Show complete. See, now I'm just lost. Show complete. It should show them as being show all and then show complete. I'm not going to spend some time worrying. This might be an extra Revit feature that it just does this to topography. Anyway, the show must go on. So now we go to the Massing and Site tab, and I'll go back to my site plan here. So I'm going to use on the Massing and Site tab, the Graded Region command. So I pick it, and now we choose which mode we're going to be in. So this is step 3. Use the Graded Region tool with the Keep Internal Points option. So it means both internal and perimeter points are copied. So it means create a new topo surface just like the existing one. So I'm going to leave it in that option. Then I'm going to go and find my on-site topography and click it. So what's happened here is that we have we've got a different topo surface, and Revit has put these little black point objects around the edges to ensure that a meet condition is maintained at the property line. So that's why we use the split surface tool. Now what you folks are going to do next week is you're going to delete these two internal points, You can see here that they're 130 feet. I'm going to delete those two. And I can't remember the number that we put in, so we'll just put in some numbers here. They'll be a little different than what might end up being used in the exam, but you'll see the purpose anyway. I'm going to add new points. So we've deleted these 2 points that were here, and we're adding some new points to create a flat area where the building's going to be placed. Now I'm going to use 130 as the value. And just go around to each corner of the house and put those points in there just like I'm doing here. Now, if you're looking on the screen here, you can see that there's something weird's going on. So all of these points around the green perimeter of the building are at 130 feet. This point here is one of the existing points, and it's the one that's kind of messing up how this topography is being created. What's happening is we've got a high point here where we've added this point, and then I think we're cutting into the hill here. And now we've got this weird part where it's sloping from here up to this upper part of the hill because of this one point. So I think if we delete that point, that will solve our problems. This one right here in the middle at the top. There. Now, have a look over here in the net fill and cut values. Yeah, these are different from the, I know what the values are supposed to be in the exam for net fill and cut, and these aren't them. So obviously that 130 feet value is different than what you would use for the exam. So here's the net. It's a negative number, so it means on the whole, we're having to truck away 49,000 cubic feet of dirt away from the site based on what we've done for regrading. Now we've got two topo surfaces here. In red is the existing topo surface. That's the one that we put into the existing phase. When we use the graded region command on that topo surface, Revit demolishes it in the current phase. So it's existing, it's demolished in the new construction phase. Makes a new topo surface. That's the one we're modifying. The existing one is in red in the background. Our new one is the one that we're modifying. And any changes that we make here, you can see we're adding 10,000 feet of fill, because down here this is higher than the existing, but at the back we're cutting down, so this is lower than existing. So we're cutting 59,000, filling 10,000 for a net of negative 49,000, so in the end we're still trucking dirt off the site. Now if we go look at this in 3D, and I'm going to finish it here. Now I've switched the phase filter in 3D to show all. This allows us to see the new property, which is in the lighter color here. Oh, that's why, it's a different material. Now why did it do that? Huh. Okay, that's why it's a lighter color. Well, that's good, it makes it easier to see. In red, what you see is the demolished existing topography. The graded region command did that. It took our existing site, demolished it, and that's why it appears red. So the new one, which is the regraded one, is the one that's in gray here. And I can go back to edit surface, and there's the additional points that we've added here around in this perimeter. Did you change your views, 3D views property to show all? Once you've done that, it should work. Okay, so on page 6 here, we've got an exercise for you folks to set up a project and set up its phasing on page 6. So there is a file in our session 2 folder called the Quick Zen Phasing Exercise. Grab that file and work on it and hang on to it, because we're going to use that when we talk about the next part of our journey tonight on design options. So you guys want to start on that exercise? We'll work on that for about the next 20 minutes or so.